Eritu ano to obunaru fata aniro anna fatadam. Eritu ano to obunaru fata aniro anna fatadam. Eritu ano to.
I continued shaking hands with the people of Tudao and greeting them in our shared tribal language. Our village of Wabaku and Tudao, we have a common language with just a few differences, but most people in Tudao have never heard an outsider speak their language, so they clapped, they applauded, and laughed with everything I said. I was Jake Sully, speaking fluent Na'vi to a new clan. I wasn't fluent, not yet, but it was enough to impress them. Then this throng of people that was running towards me from the other end of the village arrived. The teens arrived first because they ran the fastest, and then the kids, and then the adults behind. But the teens were blocking the kids' view. About 100 people were surrounding me, circling me at this point just to get a look. But these kids couldn't see me until they got close because of the crowd. They couldn't see me until they were much too close for their comfort. When the first child saw me, he began screaming. His eyes filled with tears, and then he turned and he ran away. Then the other children got their first glance at me. They began screaming hysterically, and they all ran away. They all had to see me for themselves, but then they all ran away in terror. Tanofari, ma'am, I said, stating the obvious. They're very afraid. Then one guy replied to me, well, yeah, they've never seen a man with white skin before. Oh, I said, not even one? No, you're the first white man that they've ever seen. But one little boy didn't run. He bravely clung to his father's leg and kept staring at me. He was scared, but not running. I noticed. So I leaned down to him and I said, Amo tano nai due o ba mata. You must be the brave one. He turned away and ran. Guess not. The other kids who had run away were now slowly coming back, but still keeping their distance. And I couldn't not enjoy this. I took a step closer to them. They screamed again and backed away, jumped back. The parents were all laughing, so I took another step. More jumping back, more laughing from the parents. He's just a man, the parents were yelling at their kids. Then, while still keeping their distance, some of the older kids started mocking or making fun of the younger kids who were most afraid. The older kids were repeating this, Motano nai mom, somewhat arrogantly. I'm not afraid. These kids didn't know that I could understand them, so I decided to test it. I took off and ran towards the older kids and yelled, Amitano nai wemye, you're not afraid, huh? They bolted and I took off after them. Now I've played AAA ice hockey and I've never been called slow, but I couldn't catch these kids. I was also a bit tired and they were also running for their lives, so they had that going for them. The adults were cracking up, some of them were doubled over, some fallen to the ground laughing. Sensing it was okay that I terrify their children, I chased these kids all over the village until the last one disappeared into the bush. All the while I was yelling, why are you afraid? With a big goofy smile on my face. My feet were aching and it hurt to run, but I had to make their first white skin sighting memorable. 10 years later, these parents will still retell me this story with laughter. Making memories, I found, is the best way to build relationships, even if it means risk, especially if it means some risk. From this visit, the people of Tudao would later remember two things. The first one, me chasing their kids, and the second, the way my butt was, quote, white like the sun when I bathed in their river. After chasing the kids, I settled into Idahei's in-laws' house. It felt good to sit down, to lay down. I drank some water, ate some questionable pig meat, chatted around the fire, passed some tobacco. We were sharing stories, but as soon as the sun was down, I was out. The next morning, I awoke in pain. Not just pain in my legs from the journey, but something evil was lurking in my stomach. I asked Idahei, Mo orua umamame, where do I poop? I grabbed my toilet paper and followed him across the village to the lone community outhouse. As I got closer to the outhouse, I heard this buzzing. And I remember praying, Dear Lord, please let that buzzing be flies and not bees inside this outhouse. It was both. I got inside and I dropped trow and then quickly undropped trow. And I remembered just in time a trick that a friend had taught me. So I dug up a clump of mud in the outhouse and I threw it down the outhouse's hole, the toilet hole. Flies and bees rushed up out of the hole with a big buzzing sound. The trick is this: you don't want that first rush of bugs to be up into your exposed nethers while you're straddling the hole, so it's like a warning shot. After that, I re-dropped trowel and I got to work, and it was not pleasant. When I was done finally and doing the paperwork, blood, plenty of it. My heart dropped. If I was having some kind of medical emergency way out here, not even a chopper could land and get me. It was just dense jungle. So I was either walking out of here myself or they were going to have to carry me out of here. And I didn't have a satellite phone. I couldn't call for help anyway if something was going wrong. Blood was not good. More paperwork, more blood. I panicked. After the third bloody wipe, I noticed something. There were mosquitoes in the toilet paper, lots of them. So another test then proved my hypothesis. This blood wasn't from some surprise sickness. The blood was just from these squished mosquitoes landing on where I didn't want them to be landing. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this PG. And by the amount of blood they were gathering down there, just a ton of them, like, I don't know, Times Square on New Year's Eve, but with mosquitoes. I was squishing dozens of blood-filled mosquitoes with every wipe. It just made me shiver. I pulled up my shorts and ran out of that outhouse, and I was surprised right away. Amonaino Obaye, are you all right? There was a small crowd immediately waiting for me just outside of the outhouse, just listening to me struggle in there, both men and women. Whoa, Naina Maba, I said. Yeah, I'm good. I guess privacy is a luxury that I shouldn't have assumed. So I got back to my host's house, and I was back at that outhouse 15 minutes later, and then another 15 minutes after that, and on and on and on till about noon. There's no Montezuma here, so I'll call it Sanguma's revenge. The 2 rolls of toilet paper that I brought were gone that morning, and I had a full week left to stay in that village. So I asked Idahe back at the house if he could find some leaves for me that were safe to use for wiping. He brought me a handful of leaves. After watching me run back and forth, he cut a small sapling, a tree that had good leaves on it, and he put it under the house. It reached from the floor all the way to the bottom of the house that was up on stilts. It was hilarious. I think he cut the tree down as a joke, seeing how much I was needing this toilet paper, but I needed every single one of those leaves. By noontime, all of the old ladies who never really leave their houses were all sitting on their front porches calling out to me as I was running back and forth. Don't eat too much sugar cane. That's what gives you poop water like this. Thanks, I'd yell back, still running. I heard a plethora of other medical advice that week as they watched me sprint back and forth through the village carrying these branches of leaves to wipe with. Maybe you ate some bad sack. Maybe. Don't eat fish without sack, another said to me. That's what does this. Okay, thanks. When I wasn't running to the outhouse, I did get some time for memorable conversations with the people of Tudao. One old man told me about how he murdered a man with an axe. This man had slept with his wife, so he snuck up behind him and he killed him. One chop to the back of the head, gone instantly. This guy then said he walked days to town to confess, to turn himself in, and then he spent 5 years in prison. Another old man said, I want to show you something, so I followed him to his house. He had a piece of paper wrapped in leaves, and the paper looked old and faded. 30 years ago, he began, a traveling teacher came through our village here in Tudao and told us about a man named Jesus who defeated death. He told us more stories too, but we can't really remember them. But as this guy was leaving, this traveling teacher told us, you should write a letter to New Tribe's mission and ask them to send a missionary to come to this village and tell you the rest of the Creator's talk. So 30 years ago, he said, we wrote 4 letters. We sent 3 of them with 3 people to town to try to find New Tribe's mission. And then we kept 1 letter here in case one of them came through. We were disappointed, he told me, when the first missionary group went to Wabaku instead of here to Tudao. Yeah, we're the same language group, but Wabaku's far away, and here we still haven't heard the Creator's talk. We've waited 30 years. Some of us who initially asked are already dead. He tried to give me this letter, but I refused. Keep it, I said, to help you never lose your hunger to hear the Creator's talk. And then without making any promises, I told them, here's my plan. I'm going to finish learning this language and then announce the Creator's talk in Wabaku. And then when the church there is strong, We'll send Wabaku people up here to Tudau to announce his talk so that you can hear it too. But I have to announce the Creator's talk in Wabaku first. I could see on their faces that they didn't love this plan. They had waited long enough, but they didn't really have a choice. When I finally left Tudau, it was with many happy handshakes and good memories, and I wouldn't see their faces again for years until the day I first began teaching the Creator's talk in Wabaku. Many from Tudau made that long journey, braved the black crocodile lake to hear about Jesus, the man who defeated death.